Hello, it's Ms. Pensinger. This is Scratch Tutorial 1.2. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you about the sprite list. And you're going to meet sprites and learn how they work a little bit. So you should, of course, be in the Scratch interface. And we learned in the last tutorial about the stage. This tutorial is going to look below the stage to the sprite list. This is the thumbnail for the stage itself, and I'm just going to make my window just a tad larger. There we go. And I can edit the backdrop right here. I can import a picture from the Scratch library of backgrounds. Which is large and has lots of different options. I can add a picture from a file that I have. I could even use the camera on my computer, or I could draw one. So I can really change how it looks simply by changing the backdrop. Okay, takes a second to load, but there it is. The other thing we're really looking at here is this sprite list. This is my sprite. Here he is on the screen. I can add sprites to the list by clicking the new sprite button, and I have a whole list to choose from. If I'm in a hurry, I can simply identify what I'm looking at or what theme I'm at. It tries to help me organize it, but sometimes there's something that I want to put in a theme that maybe Scratch didn't think to put there. So I may decide that I need a car. I like this car. No, I like that car actually right now. And I'm going to hit OK. It'll take a minute, depending on my internet service. And there I have a car. I could also get a new sprite from the camera, a new from the file, or I could paint a new sprite in the paint interface. When I look at a sprite, let's go back to my cat. I have an info button. When I click the info button, I learn the name of the sprite, and I can edit the name of the sprite. That might come in really handy when I begin giving instructions to my sprite. Cat 1. And I should be careful that I name it something that makes sense, not really, fluffy, not a name, but something that's going to identify it well in my code. There's some things that are going to come in really handy on this info space that we're going to learn a little bit more about. But I can rotate the sprite right here. Okay, so I can adjust the static rotation right here. Where does he start at? Of course, I can use code to adjust the rotation as well. I can adjust how he's going to rotate in my code. I can adjust whether the player can move him or not, and whether he's visible or not. So those are some important things that I can do, and whatever this says is going to be how the sprite starts out when the green button is clicked. I can add code that'll change what he looks like and what he does, but this is where kind of his initial setup. Okay, the other thing I can do is left click, which on a Mac is going to be control click. Or left click if you have some mice. So I can get info like I just showed you. I can duplicate the sprite, and that'll give me an identical copy of the sprite with a different name. I can save it to a file so that I could then import it from file later into another project. I could delete it, which would make it go away. And I could choose to hide it from this menu as well. That's really significant, hiding and showing sprites. So that's how this sprite list area works. And it's going to be really significant because without it, you would just have one cat on the stage. And this allows you to have all sorts of different things on your stage. So you should take a look at that, make yourself a sprite, play with it a little bit in your untitled random project that you've got going on in your Scratch. Happy scratching!